Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon so that you never miss any video lesson from Rouse IAS Study Circle. Hello everyone, welcome to Daily News Simplified. Now you might all be aware that the mains examination of Civil Services 2020 got over yesterday. And in this line we have come up with the analysis of all the 4 papers of general studies, and they have been uploaded on YouTube as well as on the eLearn platform of Rouse IAS. Do go through these analysis so that you have a better insight in handling these papers, what was required during the preparation, what all sources to refer, and how UPSC has been asking a question based on the previous themes on which questions have already been asked. Do go through these analysis of all the general studies paper 1, 2, 3 and 4, and they will help you in preparing well for the next mains examination of 2021. After this, let us start the Daily News Simplified, and in this we'll be discussing the Delhi edition of The Hindu newspaper dated 18th January 2021. And the articles that we will discuss today are displayed on your screen. So let us start the discussion. Now, this article on page number 6 is a very interesting article because it highlights the way in which international relations or the world order has changed since the Second World War. So, in this line, the article basically highlights how the international relations have been shaped by the United States of America since the World Wars and how it has changed under the Donald Trump administration. So, it is basically a temporal account of the changes that have been witnessed in the international relations in the past century. Now, although they might directly not be very important for us from the exam point of view, however, having an idea about what has happened in the history of past 100 years as far as international relations are concerned is very important in understanding what is happening right now. So we will go into the details of what actually happened in the past 100 years and how the United States of America shaped the international order. Now, before the World War started, America followed a policy which was known as American policy of isolationism. Now, we all know that America played a very decisive role in the outcome of First World War. However, during the interwar period, which is a period between the First World War and the Second World War, America adopted a policy of isolating itself from getting involved in international conflicts. However, this policy saw a reversal after it was attacked by Japan at the Pearl Harbor during the Second World War. And even before the starting of the First World War, the US was considered as an emerging economic and military power. However, it was largely isolated country which was focused on its own rise and expansion, and it did not focus on shaping the international order at that time, and it did not get involved in any of the international conflicts before the First World War. But then it played a decisive role in the First World War. However, even after the First World War, America again followed the policy of isolationism. Now, this policy gained currency in the America because of the Great Depression that brought economy to a standstill in the America in 1930s. So, because of the economic catastrophe that was caused by the Great Depression of 1930s and the losses that America had suffered in the First World War, promoted various thinkers in the America, which included the American isolationists, including the progressives and the conservatives, to push for a policy of non-involvement in European and Asian conflicts. And accordingly, America stayed isolated from the international conflicts which involved both the European or Asian conflicts. However, it was only when Japan attacked the Pearl Harbor that America had entered the Second World War. Now, when the Second World War came to an end, the world was divided into 2 camps, about which we all know that. First one was led by United States of America, which was known as the capitalist camp, while the second one was led by the erstwhile USSR or the Soviet Russia, and which was known as the communist camp. So this is how the world looked in the Cold War period under the United States of America and the erstwhile USSR led camps of capitalist and communist countries. And both these camps under the United States of America and the erstwhile USSR started making advances into Asian and European countries, and the US followed a policy which was known as the liberal international order. Now we note that after the end of Second World War, both these camps tried to increase their influence across the globe. In this, The erstwhile USSR at times tried to establish communist regimes in various countries, while the America tried to establish democracy in the countries after the Second World War. And this sometimes led to clashes and what was known as the Cold War. Now, what did this liberal international order stand for? So, the liberal international order is also called the US led liberal international order. And it describes the notion that the contemporary international relations are organized around the principles of international cooperation through multilateral institutions like the United Nations, World Trade Organization, etc. It stands for an economy which follows open market system. It also stands for security cooperation. It promotes liberal democracy and has been seen as being led by the United States of America and its allies. So, the order which was established after the World War II and which was led by the United States of America was known as the Liberal International Order. So, the liberal internationalism or the liberal international order stood for cooperation of Western democracies and their allies. And these countries aimed at fighting the other vision that was forwarded by the socialist or the communist camp, which was led by the erstwhile USSR or the Soviet Russia. However, in 1991, the USSR broke into different parts, and that was known as the collapse of the Soviet Union and the collapse of the communist world order, which it had aimed at establishing. And this collapse of the Soviet Russia was seen as a triumphant moment for the liberal internationalism order, which was set up under the United States of America and the Western democracies. And at that particular point, some of the thinkers in the world predicted that it was the end of the history because the liberal internationalism will be the way forward in the next coming centuries and there will be no challenge to it. And in this regard, after 1991, the United States of America stepped up its leadership role and it started wars to protect human rights, exporting democracy, and defeating the Islamic fundamentalism. However, what we are presently witnessing is that this liberal international order is losing its sheen. And why is it so? So it has been because of the rise of religious terrorism. Further, we note that the liberal international order stands for democratic government and it stands for the human rights and civil liberties. However, of late, these democratic countries are arming themselves and are curtailing civil liberties dramatically. And this curtailment of civil liberties and human rights is being seen as creating a security state from a free liberal democratic state. Now, post Cold War, United States of America has entered into many wars. However, it has failed miserably. And some of the examples include the United States of America effected regime change that took place in Yugoslavia in 1999. However, this entry of US into Yugoslavia finally led to the disintegration of the country. Also, we note that US had entered Iraq, however, it did not have a conclusive victory in Iraq. We all know about Afghanistan's case and US has been fighting a war for last 19 years without any victory. And in the end it is ready to strike a deal with the Taliban group. So all these events or all these instances highlight that the US's military adventures have failed miserably. And because of these failed campaigns or adventures, the US is now skeptical about entering into wars with countries like North Korea and Iran. Now, besides the failing of these military adventures, the liberal international order has also faced challenges from within. And we know that the economic ideology of the liberal international order is capitalism. However, the capitalism of late has been facing various issues which were clearly highlighted during the global recession of 2008. And this had weakened the United States of America and the Western Europe economically, and also this has led to several political changes in these countries. And the focus in these liberal democracies has now shifted away from protecting human rights and civil liberties to fighting terrorism and stopping immigration in many of these countries. Further, the leaders that these countries are now choosing do not stand for civil liberties. They are far right and anti immigrant Islamophobic parties have started rising in these countries. So, the countries that once stood for a liberal world order are themselves looking inwards now, and this is clearly visible in the protectionist economic policies that these countries are pursuing, and also the nationalistic tendencies that can be seen in the Western democracies. Now, these tendencies are clearly visible when Trump got elected in the United States of America, and he stood for a policy which is known as America First, and which was seen as standing against the ideals or the principles that were forwarded by the liberal international order. So it is being said that Trump had broken the Washington Consensus, which is seen as a consensus between the Western democracies regarding the liberal internationalist order. And Donald Trump has put forward his policy, which is known as America First Doctrine, and under this, he has taken adverse decision as far as the North Atlantic Treaty Organization is concerned. America has also pulled out of various international organizations and multilateral treaties and has launched tariff wars with both the friends and foes. For example, America had imposed tariffs on some of the imports from India. Also, America has imposed tariffs on China. So, this clearly highlights that America is going back on its policies of liberal international order that it had once aimed to set up. So, in this article, we have tried to understand the liberal international order and how it has been changing over a period of time, and what are the challenges that this liberal international order is facing right now. And that is also shaping the current policies of United States of America. And that is why a lot of churning is going on in the international relations. With this, let's take up the next news article now. Now, this article on page number 7 is related to Martin Luther King Jr. and his life and the role he played in the civil rights movement in United States of America. And he was instrumental in ending the racial discrimination that was legalized at that point of time in United States of America. So let us learn about the life and the works of Martin Luther King Jr., which can be very important for us from the General Studies paper 4, that is Ethics and Integrity. And you can write about the role that he played in the civil rights movements in some of the answers in the ethics paper. So, Martin Luther King Jr.'s original name was Michael King Jr., and he was born in Atlanta, in Georgia, and he was known for the civil rights movements that were led by him. Now, his leadership in the civil rights movements led to the ending of legal segregation of African Americans in South and other parts of United States of America. And he played a key role through the civil rights movement in ending the legal segregation of African Americans in the South and other parts of United States. That is, he was instrumental in ending the racial segregation which was legalized at that point of time in United States of America. Further, he was very famous because the tactics that he used were non-violent in nature and were inspired by the ideals of Mahatma Gandhi. So he was very famous because he promoted and used these non-violent tactics to achieve the civil rights in United States of America. And for this, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. Now, one of the important movements that was led by Martin Luther King Jr. was the Montgomery bus boycott movement back in 1955. Now, what happened is that in March 1955, a 15-year-old black schoolgirl in this city of Montgomery refused to give up her bus seat to a white man in violation of the laws which were known as Jim Crow laws. Further, 9 months later, on December 1, 1955, a similar incident occurred when Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her seat on a city bus. And these two incidents were instrumental in starting off the bus boycott movement of 1955 in United States of America. And this movement was led by Martin Luther King Jr. And this boycott of buses in Montgomery lasted for about 385 days, and the situation became so tense that the Martin Luther King's house was also bombed during this period. Further, Martin Luther King was arrested during this campaign, and this led to a famous ruling in the Browder versus Gale case that led to the ending of racial segregation on all the Montgomery public buses. And his role in this bus boycott movement transformed him into a national figure, and he was known as the best spokesperson for the civil rights movement. And these movements eventually resulted in a number of path-breaking laws in United States of America, and these included the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Voting Rights Act of 1965, and this ended several racial discrimination related laws, and led to the empowerment of African Americans in the United States of America. So he had a very key role in ending of legalized racial discrimination in the United States of America. Now, the methods that were utilized by Martin Luther King Jr. are also important. And he helped the grassroots leaders in the United States of America to mobilize African Americans for sustained mass struggles. He inspired participants to believe that their cause was just and consistent with the traditional American egalitarian values. Also, Martin Luther King appealed to the conscience of all Americans and was able in building popular support for the civil rights reform. And his strategy was of emphasizing on non-violent protest and interracial cooperation, and that enabled him to fight effectively against the Southern system, or the system that was prevalent in the southern United States of America, of legalized racial segregation and discrimination. So we see some similarities in the way the movements were led by Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi during the independence struggle in India. Now, both these leaders emphasized on non-violent protests, and as Martin Luther King Jr. emphasized on ending of racial discrimination, Mahatma Gandhi also devoted his life for ending of untouchability in India, which was a part of the caste system in India for a very long period of time. So these are few important lessons that can be taken from the life of Martin Luther King Jr., and some of the works that he did and the methods he utilized can be used in writing answers in the ethics and integrity paper. With this, let's take up the next news article now. Now, this article on page number 6 talks about the disconnect that is presently visible in the performance of stock market in India and the real economic scenario in India. We see that the stock market of late has been breaking all the records. However, Indian economy is witnessing stagnation or is contracting, which is clearly visible in the GDP data. And this contraction in the GDP has been witnessed because of the lockdown that was imposed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the economy is expected to register a negative GDP growth rate of around -9% in 2020 and 21. And despite this slowdown, we see that both the Sensex and the Nifty have been rising. So, what are the reasons for this increase in the performance of stock market despite having a stagnated economy? So let us look into these reasons, although they are not very important for us from the exam point of view, but an understanding of these issues can help you in understanding the larger economic situation. Now, we all know that the world had witnessed a global recession during the year 2007 and 8. Now, that global recession or the global financial crisis was driven by economic factors in the United States of America, and that had a cascading effect on the global economy. However, the present economic downturn is mainly because of non-economic factors, and especially because of the lockdown that was imposed at the global level due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, of late we are seeing that there has been drop in the COVID-19 cases in different parts of the world, and also we see that vaccine has been rolled out, and this is leading to a positive sentiment, and the economies are now coming back to the normal. And this positive investor sentiment, which is led by the rollout of vaccine and decrease in the number of COVID-19 cases, has led to a surge in the stock markets. Secondly, in India, this positive sentiment that is witnessed in the stock market is mainly because of the monetary and the fiscal stimulus that has been provided in India by the government and the Reserve Bank of India both. So, for dealing with the impact that the lockdown had on the Indian economy, we note that the government of India had rolled out the Atmanirbhar Bharat package to the tune of rupees 20 lakh crores, and this amounted to almost 10% of India's GDP. Besides Government of India, the Reserve Bank of India has also injected close to rupees 10 lakh crores since March 2020. And this increased liquidity in the domestic market has found its way into the stock market, and this is particularly the reason for increase in the performance of stock market. Besides local reasons, there are other external reasons as well. And this increase in performance of the stock market has also been driven by the higher inflows of foreign portfolio investments. Now we note that most of the developed economies, which also include the United States of America, have adopted reduced interest rates, or also they are adopting zero interest rate policies in order to stimulate their economies. And this easy availability of finance in these countries, accompanied by a positive sentiment about the Indian economy, has led to a surge in the foreign portfolio inflows into India. So, collectively, we see that it is mainly because of positive investor sentiment. Secondly, it is because of increased liquidity due to the monetary and the fiscal stimulus that is provided by India. And finally, it is because of higher inflows of foreign portfolio investment because of positive sentiment about Indian economy and reduced interest rates in some of the developed economies of the world. So these are few important points, and with this, let's take up the next news article now. Now, this article on page number 9 reads that the United Kingdom has invited the Indian Prime Minister Modi to G7 summit in June. Besides India, Australia and South Korea are also the guest countries at the G7 summit. Now, G7 summit can be very important for us from the exam point of view, as you might all be knowing that this year in the preliminary examination, a question was asked related to the G20 grouping, which is also one of the important summits that happens between the emerging economies of the world. Similarly, you can be asked a question in the preliminary examination related to the G7 summit. So let us learn about this G7. Now, regarding this G7 grouping, you should note that it had first started its meeting in the year 1975. And they started meeting in response to the economic crisis that the world was facing at that time. So now this G7 is the group of 7. It is an organization which is made up of world's 7 largest advanced economies. And these include Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom and the United States of America. Now earlier Russia was also a part of it and it was known as the G8 grouping. However, in 2014, Russia was suspended over the annexation of the Crimean Peninsula and hence it is presently known as the G7 grouping. Now the basic aim or objective of this group is that it regards itself as a community of values and it stands for freedom and human rights, democracy and the rule of law, and prosperity and sustainable development as its key principles. So some important points regarding the G7 is that it includes the 7 member countries and it first started its meetings in the year 1975. And Canada later joined this G6 grouping and then it came to be known as the G7 grouping. Now presently it stands for about 40% of the global GDP and has 1/10 of the world's population. And presently Russia has been removed from G8 grouping and hence it is known as the G7 grouping. Now another important grouping which is in news has been proposed by the United Kingdom and it is known as the D10 club. So it is a club of democratic partners which include the G7 countries which are the UK, US, Italy, Germany, France, Japan and Canada, and also includes Australia, South Korea and India. And its main aim is to create alternative suppliers of the 5G equipment and other technologies to avoid the relying on China, and this has been created in response to the COVID-19 pandemic for which most of the countries are holding China responsible. So the facts regarding the G7 groupings and the D10 club are important for us from the preliminary examination point of view. With this, we conclude today's discussion, and this is the question for the day.